In the news tonight, Emmanuel Macron is elected France's 25th president with over 65% of the votes, defeating far-right nationalist Marine Le Pen in the final round of the election. Syrians among 6,000 migrants rescued in the Mediterranean in the past days tell of the risky journey at sea and the hefty price they pay to human traffickers. And 82 Nigerian girls who were abducted by the terrorist group Boko Haram in 2014 are given their freedom in a prisoner swap negotiated by the government. Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. Here are the details. And France has decided, with over 65% of voters choosing centrist Emmanuel Macron with a business-friendly vision of European integration, who defeated Marine Le Pen, who had said she would take France out of the European Union. But first, we begin with home news. And during the lower House First Ordinary Session that ended upon a royal decree today, House members passed a total of 26 laws, according to a report released at a news conference detailing the House accomplishments over the past months. Speaking at the news conference, House Speaker Atif Tarauni said the House has maintained a transparent approach to its performance through regular bi-weekly reports on its various activities made public to keep Jordanians in the know. Tarauni listed meetings of Arab and international parliamentary assemblies in which Jordan has participated to highlight local and Arab issues such as the plight of Syrian refugees and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. He called on the media to soften its tone and refrain from accusing House members of seeking leisure time in their travels abroad. On rationalizing expenditure, Tarauni said as of next month, the House will rely on solar energy and will become paperless, opting for emailing and SMS in its communications. In a bid to place the needs of Jordanian nationals at the forefront of priorities of diplomatic missions abroad, Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Ayman al-Safadi has formed a committee to review and amend consular procedures across Jordanian embassies and consulates. Chaired by the ministry's Deputy Secretary General Ambassador Arij al-Hawamde, the committee is tasked with revisiting consular affairs in place at Jordan's diplomatic missions and take immediate action to rectify any shortcomings. Safadi gave the committee 1 week to complete the task aimed at ensuring citizens the highest level of service. The minister requested the committee to set benchmarks for consular procedures and streamline waiting time across all diplomatic missions. The 7th Eager Lion military training drill kicked off today with participants from 24 countries. Eager Lion is an annual joint exercise the kingdom has hosted since 2011, this year focusing on anti-terrorism and modern war techniques. The drill aims to foster cooperation among the various participating troops and to enhance their defense capabilities and strategic planning. It also seeks to maximize the troops' preparedness and upgrade their crisis management capabilities when confronted with extraordinary threats. Land, air and marine troops are joining in the exercise, in addition to security agencies and government and civil institutions. And in more home news, 9 security officers have been arrested after being accused of involvement in the killing of Jordanian citizen Ra'ad Amar, who died last week from physical abuse during investigation at the Badiat Al-Jiza Security Center. The officers are accused of inflicting physical harm on the victim to get information, abusing authority, as well as defying orders and regulations. The government's coordinator for human rights, Bassel Tarauni, said the arrest came upon orders by the Director General of the Public Security Department based on the findings of an investigative committee which he earlier formed to look into the case. Tarauni praised the decision as an embodiment of the rule of law and respect for human rights. The case will be referred to the Public Security Attorney General to be reviewed by the police court for adjudication. So the much-anticipated French presidential race is over and the French are decided. Emmanuel Macron was elected France's 25th president, defeating far-right nationalist Marine Le Pen in the final round of the election.
Marine Le Pen obtient ce soir, lors de ce second tour, 34,9% des voix. On va tout de suite aller du côté du Louvre. Explosion de joie, vous le voyez sur ces images en ce moment même au Louvre, là où sont rassemblés les partisans du candidat d'En Marche, mouvement qui, je vous le rappelle, est né il y a seulement quelques mois. Leur candidat s'était lancé dans cette campagne sans appareil, sans structure politique et sans militants. C'est une...
Early projections showed Macron beating Le Pen by at least 65% to 35%, a gap wider than the 20 or so percentage point margin that pre-election surveys had pointed to. The 39-year-old former investment banker who served for 2 years as economy minister but has never previously held elected office will now become the country's youngest leader since Napoleon, with a promise to transcend left-right divisions. Voter turnout was recorded at 65.3%. Macron's immediate challenge will be to secure a majority in next month's parliamentary election for En Marche, or Onwards, his political movement that is barely a year old, in order to implement his program. His victory is being interpreted as a boost for European cooperation, a concept of which he is a fervent advocate. German Chancellor Angela Merkel was one of the first to congratulate Macron, saying in a tweet, "Your victory is a victory for a strong, united Europe and for Franco-German friendship." As Palestinian prisoners entered the 21st day on a hunger strike, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry urged an international awakening toward the plight of hundreds of Palestinian detainees in Israeli jails. The ministry sent to Palestinian embassies copies of an International Committee of the Red Cross statement urging Israel as the occupation authority to live up to its obligations under international laws. In a statement, the ministry cautioned against the risks of force-feeding the detainees, calling the practice a blatant violation of international law and human rights principles. The ministry called on Arab embassies and, in cooperation with their governments and parliaments, to step up diplomatic and political action internationally to expose ongoing Israeli violations and breaches. An estimated 1,600 inmates are on a hunger strike, protesting solitary confinement, detention without trial, denial of visits by relatives, among other grievances. And another Palestinian killed for stabbing allegations. Israeli security forces killed a Palestinian teenage girl they allege attempted to perpetrate a stabbing attack at the Damascus Gate in Jerusalem's Old City. The occupation forces shot the girl, who they claim approached a group of officers standing guard at the gate after she waved a knife in their direction. Fatima Hajiji, from a town near the West Bank city of Ramallah, was 16 years old. To Iraq, where at least 2 Peshmerga fighters were killed and 6 injured when multiple Daesh suicide bombers attacked a base in the north of the country where U.S. military advisors are stationed. 2 of the terrorists died when they detonated their vests at the entrance to the K1 base, and 3 others were killed by Kurdish Peshmerga forces who control the Kirkuk area where the base is situated. Security forces said the terrorists were disguised in Peshmerga uniforms and had shaved their beards when they attacked the base. Meanwhile, and after 7 months of battling Daesh in Mosul, Iraqi forces continued to face resistance from the terrorists in northwest Mosul after opening a new front in a push to rout the group from the city. Having gained a foothold in the northern Msherfe district last week, Iraqi forces are trying to push down into the remaining districts held by Daesh in Mosul, including the Old City. The army says fighting Daesh in Msherfe, with a large number of families still locked in their houses, is making the battle more complicated. Additional reinforcements from the Rapid Response Division have arrived in northwest Mosul today to help clear areas on the banks of the River Tigris that bisects the city. And to Syria, a swap agreement between the Syrian government and rebels has been reached to evacuate wounded militants of Tahrir al-Sham from Yarmouk camp in the southern suburbs of Damascus to rebel-held Idlib province. The agreement is the second phase of an earlier deal to evacuate people from 2 towns besieged by rebels and 2 towns under Syrian army control, the first phase of which was implemented last month. The wounded militants and some others accompanying them make up a group of about 50. Nusra Front was the official branch of Al-Qaeda in Syria until a year ago. It has since joined a number of other terrorist groups under the new name Tahrir al-Sham. Meanwhile, the Syrian army is said to have seized control of the village of Al-Zalaqiyat north of Hama. Violence has raged in the countryside north of Hama for over a month since rebels launched an assault against the Syrian army that was quickly reversed. A number of Syrians were among 6,000 migrants hoping to head to Europe who were rescued in the Mediterranean in the past 2 days in more than 20 separate rescue operations by the Italian Coast Guard. Yesterday alone, 3,000 were picked up by the Navy, Coast Guard, EU border agency Frontex and several NGOs. According to the International Organization for Migration, so far this year, 43,490 migrants have arrived in Europe by sea as of April 26. And those that made it not only risked their lives, but paid a hefty price.
As the Syria to this point, more than 10,000 euro, more than 10,000 euro. And we try in Libya to go to UN to ask. He just he didn't accept us because and not registration maybe in the UN refugees.
So you went to the UN?
Yeah, I call them.
And what they say?
In Trablus. They say you have to restoration from beginning, and when the time has come, maybe it took 1 year. 1 year we couldn't stay in Libya 1 year. We couldn't.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel's Conservatives won a clear victory over their Social Democrat rivals in a vote in the northern state of Schleswig-Holstein and a boost to her prospects of winning a national election in September. Merkel's Christian Democrat CDU fetched 33% of the vote, up from 30.8% in the last election there in 2012. The Social Democrats won 26%, down from 30.4%. A third state vote in the western state of North Rhine-Westphalia next Sunday offers Merkel's Conservatives a chance to defeat the incumbent Social Democrats again and build momentum in her bid to win a 4th term in office in September. Staying in Germany, more than 50,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes in Hanover ahead of a large-scale operation to defuse unexploded bombs dating back to World War II. A total of 13 unexploded ordnances from the 1940s found at a construction site were to be removed from the northwestern city today. The evacuation is the second biggest since 1945 and involves 3 heavily populated areas of Hanover, which account for 10% of the city's entire population. German authorities are pressured to remove unexploded ordnance from populated areas, with experts arguing the bombs become more dangerous as time goes by due to material fatigue. Hanover was a frequent target of Allied bombing in the latter years of the war. On October 9, 1943, some 261,000 bombs were dropped on the city. 82 girls among some 270 school students abducted by Boko Haram in 2014 were released and have arrived in the Nigerian capital Abuja to a reception led by the president's chief of staff. The girls' release was secured by the Nigerian government in exchange for Boko Haram prisoners. The 270 girls were kidnapped in April 2014 by the terrorist group, which has killed 15,000 people and displaced more than 2 million during a 7-year insurgency aimed at creating an Islamic caliphate in northeastern Nigeria. Some have escaped and a group was released in a previous deal, while 200 of the girls remain missing for more than 2 years. Guinness World Records could have a new entry for mutton shashlik or shish kebab eating. Over 600 gourmets in Toksan in northwest China finished up 900 kilograms of mutton grilled on wooden skewers in less than an hour, averaging 1.5 kilos per person. Hosts offered 50 heads of black sheep, the local special breed, at the unofficial record-making event, which started as an outdoor barbecue party for all. The mutton are cooked on rectangular charcoal grills, which join one another to measure 150 meters in length. Situated in the Turpan Basin, which boasts China's hottest air temperature of 49.6 degrees Celsius posted in 1975, the spicy mutton and hot grills have enabled Toksan to doubly live up to its reputation of the land of fire. Returning Russian tennis player Maria Sharapova defeated Croatia's Mirjana Lucic-Baroni to advance to the second round of the Madrid Open. Now ranked 262 in the world, Sharapova defeated the world number 20, 4-6, 6-4, 6-love. The Madrid Open is the second tournament for Sharapova after she returned from a 15-month doping ban. In the second round, she will play against Canadian Eugenie Bouchard.
Juego primer set, Lucic-Baroni.
A total of 4,500 runners from 36 countries participated in the 13th Taipei 101 run-up competition in Taiwan. Runners climbed up a 2,046, 390 meters high to the finishing line at the 91st floor of the tower, which is ranked the 8th tallest building in the world. Australian Mark Bourne won the men's race in 11 minutes and 24 seconds, and the winner of the women's race was Susie Walsham, also from Australia, in a time of 13 minutes and 36 seconds. The male record is 10 minutes and 29 seconds, while the female record is 12 minutes and 38 seconds. Had someone broke the record, they would have won a prize money of $6,660 US.
大概多少？没有，就跑越烂，踢下去了。
And finally, a quick look at the weather. Moderate conditions continue in most regions for the rest of tonight, with northwesterly moderate winds. A rise in temperature is expected tomorrow to become 3 to 4 degrees above seasonal average. So expect a relatively warm day in most regions and hot in Aqaba, where a high of 36 degrees is expected, while winds will be northwesterly light and the seas calm. So the temperatures forecast for tonight and tomorrow. And to close, here's a reminder of the day's top stories. Emmanuel Macron is elected France's 25th president with over 65% of the vote, defeating far-right national Marine Le Pen in the final round of the election. Syrians among 6,000 migrants rescued in the Mediterranean in the past days tell of the risky journey at sea and the hefty price they paid to human traffickers. And 82 Nigerian girls who were abducted by the terrorist group Boko Haram in 2014 are given their freedom in a prisoner swap negotiated by the governments. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tuqan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.